Flower. She's the leader of a 29-strong family of meerkats, known as the Whiskers. She's just a foot tall, but she's tough. Anyone who crosses her finds this out the hard way. But Flower has to be a strong leader, because ahead lie terrifying encounters with airborne predators, vicious battles over territory with rival gangs, and a deadly snake attack, which leaves one member of the family fighting for his life. Flower's courageous little gang faces enormous challenges at every turn. She will have her work cut out for her if the extended family is going to survive what lies in store. Meet the Whiskers. Flower, the leader of the group. Zaphod, her partner. Yozarian, with some social problems. Mozart, the caring one. Tosca, the rebellious one. Courageous little Shakespeare. And the naughty kids. Welcome to Meerkat Manor. Home for the Whiskers gang is 3 square miles of fiercely defended bush in South Africa's northern Cape, which is dotted with a series of bolt holes and burrows. This group of meerkats has been the subject of a 10-year study by Cambridge University into their daily lives and relationships. Cameras record events at the burrows, and a radio collar around Flower's neck helps track their movements. 7 feet below, in the pitch dark, is Flower's latest litter of pups, born just 3 weeks ago. But it's an anxious time for Flower. Underground, her pups are safe. But once outside, life gets seriously risky. It'll be up to the whole gang to protect the little ones. Flower knows she can rely on the family to do their best, but only time will tell if the pups will survive life in the big wide world. The key player in Flower's Royal Protection Squad is Zaphod, the dominant male and father of the pups. He's bigger than everyone else, and he's a bit of a bruiser. His main job is to mark and defend the Whiskers' territory from rival meerkat gangs. But he also needs to keep a very close eye on Flower. Zaphod is no fool. As he is Flower's first choice when it comes to breeding, he wisely spends a lot of time grooming her, keeping in her good book, and so maximizing his chances of mating. It's early morning, and the Whiskers' burrow is buzzing with anticipation. Extra sentries are on duty, scanning the sky for predators, and the whole gang are cleaning and tidying the burrow entrances. Flower's adult son, Shakespeare, a mature and reliable member of the family, is keeping a close eye on some birds of prey. And the reason for all this activity? The big day is finally here, and Flower's pups are coming out to meet the whole family for the first time. Flower won't normally allow other females to breed, so her pups really are the future of the group. But these precious little youngsters have a 1 in 4 chance of dying in the first days out of the burrow, so everyone is in a state of high alert. Shakespeare has to give Mitch, one of his scared little brothers, a bit of gentle persuasion. But eventually, all the pups are out, and the family can officially count 4 new members. With Flower watching closely, the rest of the extended family are anxious to reassure and encourage them. But working mom Flower can't spend all day with her pups. She has to supply milk for them and get herself ready to breed again. so she needs to eat. But childcare isn't a problem when you're a meerkat, as both males and females will take their turn babysitting the boss's babies. So while Flower leads the rest of the Whiskers group off to find breakfast, she leaves her pups behind in the capable paws of today's volunteer babysitters. If they're lucky, the Whiskers will have insects and small reptiles on the menu, but they're gonna have to work for it. Flower's son Shakespeare seems to know exactly where to dig. Although, like all meerkats, his eyesight up close is not great. He can rely on his brilliant sense of smell to find breakfast. The Whiskers were born to dig. Shakespeare looks like he needs a manicure, but these shovel-shaped claws mean he can shift his own body weight in dirt to find those tasty morsels. Luckily, he doesn't have to find himself a drink to wash it down, as all the moisture he needs is in his food. While the rest of the family digs, dominant male Zaphod stands guard. He's already eaten breakfast and takes his responsibilities seriously. Shakespeare has found a highly poisonous scorpion. There's enough venom in his breakfast to kill a human, but meerkats seem to have inbuilt immunity. Just as well as Shakespeare is eating every last scrap, stinger and all. Flower has found a real delicacy, a giant millipede. The meerkats hate the taste of the toxic secretions on its skin, so she's dragging it through the sand to rub them off. She's producing milk for her growing pups, so nothing is wasted. Back at the babysitting burrow, the pups are really starting to enjoy their first taste of freedom. Under the watchful eyes of the babysitters, they are gradually growing in confidence. It's been a few hours since Mom left, and the pups are getting hungry. Fortunately, one of the babysitters, their big sister Mozart, is able to feed the pups. The adult females in the group often nurse each other's young, and even those who have never given birth are sometimes able to produce milk. In a week or so, they'll be strong enough to follow the group on their foraging trips. But for now, the only safe place for them is within a few steps of the burrow. But it's been a long morning for the babysitters, and the midday heat is taking its toll. Unfortunately, any lapse in concentration can be lethal. And right under their noses, Kinkajou, one of the teenagers, seizes her chance and steals a pup. Within minutes, they've taken Mitch, their tiny captive, quite a ways from the safety of the burrow. These sassy youngsters don't mean any harm. They simply want to have a bit of fun and take the pup out foraging. But they're too inexperienced to realize that little Mitch is nowhere near ready. Unfortunately, with so many predators around, they're playing a very dangerous game. Back at the burrow, the exhausted babysitters haven't noticed that one of their tiny charges is missing. It's not long before, in typical teenage fashion, Kinkajou and her little gang get bored of looking after 3-week-old Mitch and abandon him in favor of something more fun. Alone in the bush, the pup has absolutely no chance of survival. Mitch's only hope is that one of the foraging adults returns to rescue him. But there is no one in sight. Back at the babysitting burrow, there are just 3 little pups and still no sign of Mitch, their missing brother. Things are not looking good. The teenagers have forgotten about him already. Fortunately, luck is on the little pup's side. Mitch's knight in shining armor is his older brother, Shakespeare. He's returned early from the morning's foraging and quickly realizes that the pup is in trouble. The teenagers are having too much fun to notice. They deserve a good telling off, but little Mitch needs to get home. So Shakespeare does the only sensible thing and takes his brother back to safety. Fortunately, their mom Flower is oblivious to the drama back at the burrow and is getting on with the serious job of foraging. Among those joining her out in the bush is her grown-up daughter Tosca. She was one of Flower's pups from her first litter. Now, she's made a potentially fatal mistake and is showing all the signs of being pregnant herself. In meerkat society, the dominant female will rarely tolerate anyone else's pups. Flower wants her own pups to have the best chance of survival and doesn't want them to have competition from anyone else's kids, not even her own daughters. If Tosca's lucky, Flower will tolerate her pups and allow her to raise them. But the worst-case scenario is that Granny kills her newborn grandchildren, a horrible fate for Tosca's first litter. It's been a couple of days since Flower's pups first emerged at Meerkat Manor, and they're busy working on the techniques they will need to survive as adults. To stay healthy, every meerkat should work on personal hygiene. As adults, learning to groom yourself and others is essential to keep the parasites at bay and to make friends. But to really take their place in the sociable and cooperative world of the meerkat group, they must master the skill of standing up on their back legs. Every adult meerkat must do its fair share of sentry duty. And when you're so tiny, any height advantage you can get will increase your chances of spotting a predator and warning the group. But getting your balance takes time and practice. When you're just 3 weeks old, even a few hours at nursery school can be exhausting. While the pups snooze at the burrow, the rest of the Whiskers group are out foraging, and they've made a disturbing discovery. Among them is Shakespeare. He's as nervous and excited as the rest of the gang. Meerkats have little bolt holes scattered around their territory, somewhere to hide from predators in an emergency. Unfortunately, a squatter has moved into this one. It's a puff adder with a deadly bite and one of the fastest strikes of any snake in the world. So the meerkats want him out. They're mobbing him, trying to hound him out with a relentless show of strength and unity. Their tails are up to try and make them look bigger, and they're using their spit calls to threaten and frighten. Suddenly, their victim can tolerate it no longer. Shakespeare has received a vicious double bite, and it takes a few moments for the lightning-quick strike to register with him. The rest of the group are too preoccupied to notice, and he limps off in agony. The venom is extremely potent. It attacks the blood cells and tissue, slowly rotting the flesh. Shakespeare has been bitten on both the face and the thigh, and has a massive dose inside of it. The rest of the gang are not giving up, and bravely continue trying to evict the snake. Shakespeare is really starting to feel the effects of the venom and is having trouble walking. The puff adder is not giving way. The group decides that discretion is the better part of valor and moves away from the snake's lair. Shakespeare now has a dilemma. Does he stay with the foraging group as there is safety in numbers? In his weakened state, he is very vulnerable to predators. Or does he try and limp home alone? Either way, he'll be taking a risk. In the end, he has no choice because the group heads off without him. Shakespeare can barely walk, and he simply can't keep up with the rest of the family. So he's decided to take the shortcut home. But the journey is going to be painfully slow. Back at the main burrow, it's been a long day for the babysitters. They're looking forward to the return of the group so they can hand the pups over to their well-fed mother, Flower, and finally relax. The pain in Shakespeare's leg is becoming unbearable. Birds of prey are always on the lookout for lone meerkats, and if spotted, Shakespeare wouldn't stand a chance. The terrified little animal will need all his strength and courage if he's going to make it home. An hour later, the rest of the family is arriving back at the burrow. Everyone is pleased to see the pups. It's getting late, and Shakespeare must try and get a move on if he's to make it home before dark. Back at the burrow, the group is starting to head below ground for the night. The pups have been given their marching orders and are heading for a sleeping chamber. Above ground, Shakespeare has finally made it home, but it's taken his last drop of strength. Shakespeare has managed to crawl into the burrow entrance. He desperately needed cover for the night, but he can go no further. Even breathing is a struggle. It seems unlikely that he'll make it through the night. Next time on Meerkat Manor, Flower's pups are under threat when a sinister stranger stalks the burrow. And the family comes face to face with their arch rivals in a battle over territory.